beaten was one game against H2K and one game against Bangkok Titans. Everything else they have been defeated on. They need to be able to step up.
And that was one team with both of those wins too.
Absolutely, EDG.
Yeah.
IG and LGD yet to pick up a win.
C9 getting a bit feisty in the enemy jungle early on.
And they do have Braum, incredibly good level 1 support here, just applying the passive. They're going in with some aggressive vision. Being matched at the other side, pretty standard here. Overall, the way this vision is going to pan out. And see where the lanes end up though.
Yeah, pretty normal deep wards coming in from both teams. Looks like we're not going to see any big level 1 brawl like we saw so much of yesterday.
Yeah, even a mid lane ward placed by Incarnation. Slight tweaks in where you find your ward placement here. You can see there's 2 deep wards from IG in the blue jungle of Cloud9, but 3 wards if you look at the mirror of those wards. So slightly different moves and slightly different plays here at level 1.
Now something we have to keep track of is whether IG is going to actually end up hard leashing for Kakao, but it does seem that they go for the double jungle. In the regional qualifier, very often Kakao would get help from either Zitai from a leash or even his bot lane. That would propel him forwards, and then he could aggressively take out the enemy jungle. Because the map has been divided into 2 though, we do see complete double jungling starting up here.
I see a missed opportunity here by Cloud9. When you're invading the Gromp, you can actually freeze the wave before it gets to the turret to guarantee the freeze, but they're taking the Gromp instead. They didn't go for that. Maybe they thought they were doing this uncontested, but because they were seen by the ward in the river, it just ends up being...
Yeah. It's actually a really cool move to do that. It helps you just get a little more creeps in lane once you return. The downside is that obviously that you reveal that you're starting at that side of the jungle, makes it slightly more predictable, but in the lane swap, doesn't matter all that much. See if C9 keeps the traditional lane swap style where they fast push 3v0, 4v0 to get the tower and then get balls ahead. They really want to get that tower down first, bounce the wave, and keep funneling as much farm as possible into balls on Darius here to get him ahead.
Rookie getting aggressive onto Incarnation already, but Incarnation the one who comes out a little bit ahead in life. Rookie though, he's got that flask, he's got some pots, he's in it for the long haul in the mid lane.
Yeah, Rookie is a tremendous laner, so he's probably going to be looking to play quite aggressive in this game if wards are permitted.
Look at what Cloud9 is doing though. Single push here from their 80 carry router sneaking in the top lane. If IG realizes they can send their top laner top, who soaks so much farm.
The exact play right here would be Zatai teleporting top lane and then still trying to zone up, but they need all 4 people down here because they're trying to keep balls off the turret. Lemon Nation was also given solo experience on Gromp, so he is a level 2 Braum, slightly stronger when they're rotating him around the map, but now finally they're doing the teleport, and honestly, they still might be able to hold the zone with 3 people.
Look like where their jungler is. Their jungler is at Krugs right now, so high completely at the other side of the map. Balls trying to get to that tower, but he has to share experience with Lemon Nation. Whereas on the top lane, Zitai is ranged, can farm well against Tristana when the wave is under his tower. Tristana, I think, already skilled E2, so will be continuously pushing in.
Elimination trying to harass a little bit as IG tries to go for this blue buff steal. Looks like they'll be able to get it though. C9 getting pushed around a bit on the map early on. Well, they do have a tiny gold lead.
This is exactly what happened. High traded some map pressure and top laner farm for his own selfish gains as a jungler. And honestly, it's not that different from how High played during the regular season. When he came in as a jungler, he was very farm heavy. A lot of that had to do with picking Sated Devour multiple times, but he transitions that playstyle to a few other things. High will do things that other junglers just simply do not do.
Like play a Mumu?
Or Kha'Zix.
That does happen.
Or win on Rengar.
All of these things other junglers don't really do right now.
Yeah. Because the lane swap played out the way it did though, Incarnation had free reign to just constantly shove in mid, put some pressure on Rookie's Echo here. High even went to the flank there to get him down, but Zitai, he is comfortably farming in this lane, whereas Darius has a hard time farming, especially with a melee support helping him against double range like a Bard. Eat 1 double stun and you get punished incredibly hard, so Balls will have some trouble here.
What's most interesting to me about this is the Balls lane with Lemonation is probably the most common thing for Cloud9 to happen. All the way back, even in 2014, this was an incredibly common lane setup. Even the championship against TSM in 2014, almost every game, Sneaky was solo laning top on Tristana or Corki.
The problem with that lane strategy is, though, that Tristana just almost automatically shoves the lane if she skills her E, so much farm gets funneled into Zitai, whereas wave management is paramount to making that top lane support synergy work. You want to deny as many creeps as you can. Rookie here, though.
Yeah.
Look at this. Incarnation certainly winning the 1v1. Rookie takes a ton of damage. Hasn't had to use that flash yet, but it's coming close. That early Fiendish Codex Incarnation really putting that extra damage to good use.
It took Incarnation a little while to get settled in the mid lane since he just started playing professionally this summer split.
Definitely.
But particularly since High came back in, he's really turned into a force. And all the hype that was coming into the season from Incarnation is actually being realized in a lot of games come later in the summer split and specifically early on here at Worlds.
It's actually fun to see him perform on control mages because mainly when he came into C9, he was an assassin player. Everybody expected him to play assassins at Worlds. Now he's picking Azir and doing well so far.
He's also in a super dangerous place right now because Cacao is in his own jungle. At least he has some help from High on his own side.
Yeah, it's true. Still has that flash, still has that barrier in case the worst case scenario happens.
Zitai is already a full level ahead of Balls, so we need to see C9 punish somewhere or use the advantage on Sneaky's experience to get an objective, do something.
Yeah. And it's exactly what we were talking about before the game, and all the teams have been picking Darius. They're giving him pick priority, but they're not prioritizing him within the game. And all of these Dariuses are playing from behind, not due to their own choice, but due to team choices. It's not like he's losing the first levels 1 to 5. He is level 5 when the opponent is level 6. In this game, it's level 6 to level 4 by the time they actually meet in lane.
And
look where Cacao is.
Comes Cacao. Looks like they're going to try to dive Balls here. Balls underneath the turret. Zitai Cacao coming in. He's in a lot of trouble. Gets the Q off onto Zitai, but there's a Mega Gnar right away. Stuns come through and Balls has no chance. First blood goes to Zitai. Flashes to avoid some turret hits, but not a bad trade for first blood.
The only chance Balls had to survive that gank was if he flashed the Gnar ultimate. He tried to predict a drive, but he got caught by the very end of it and still ended up stunning on the turret. That really hurts him because he lost the wave. Cloud9 almost has to counter, but it's pretty hard to dive here 3v2 instead of a straight 2v1.
Balls does have teleport from base. He almost has to go for
He's only level 4. This is tricky.
Speaking of teleport, they're coming in onto the spot lane. Kitty's and Kid in a lot of trouble. Kitty's
as long as there's not a BF sword disparity at all, a couple extra potions, you know, you drop some CS, but top lane, that's 1v1, especially in a counter matchup like a Gnar. C9's early lane prioritization has been off, and Balls, yeah, he's getting punished for it. Zitai now just hit level 7, Balls is still level 5.
Well, it seems like, I mean, if you have a Darius on your team, you have to remember there's a Darius on your team. Give him a little bit of help. Let the guy get ahead a little bit. He's supposed to be the one that comes in and does a ton of damage. You can't do that in a situation like this. Still level 7 to level 5. Zitai going Mega Gnar, throws Balls against the wall. Balls
the minion
in a bit of trouble. There's the stun. Little bit of minion tanking helping out there. Oh, the Q misses. Flash Cocoon misses Zitai. He's going to back away. Repel coming in. Can they catch him? Zitai, no flash. Still looks like he's going to get away. Meanwhile, another duel in the mid lane. Emperor's Divide does not hit Rookie somehow, some way. No kills result at the end.
Couple nice sidesteps there. Zitai hops out of the cocoon. Rookie sidesteps the ultimate. Otherwise, he would have found himself in the tower. Would have been forced to use that ultimate, obviously. No kills would have happened anyways.
So close, though.
The minion tanking that house for Balls.
Save.
Very nice. Honestly, though, IG, the mid lane Rookie has been getting beaten on CS. It's somewhat expected for an Echo versus Azir. He's itemizing defensively, and he's starting to make some really aggressive moves. The fact that there's been very little jungle priority on that mid lane, Rookie is trying to take advantage of. So many of these aggressive plays that he's doing just to stay close to Incarnation could actually be punished by High camping for a gank.
And Kid, they're fine playing this lane slightly from behind. Bard, obviously, with those health packs, gives you plenty of sustain if you don't get all in. Just over time, you can spam health packs in lane, then you back off, and when you have 4 or 5 chimes, you take them, and they go incredibly quick, because each chime gives you additional movement speed out of combat. You come back to lane, sustain up again. Sivir with Spell Shield doesn't get punished, so Cloud9, where they're ahead in experience, can't punish.
could get bad for C9. Elimination
man.
goes down and Sneaky has to flee.
A series of unfortunate events for Cloud9 and great events for IG. If Rookie can start snowballing this game,
Work to at least keep his AD carry alive by slowing down Rookie.
Yeah, but also in that top lane, we talked about experience. Also CS, Rookie and Incarnation still duking it out here, but Ball's trailing behind half the CS of his lane opponent.
Grouping a little bit in that mid lane now.
I think it's time to move Rookie to a side lane and keep Kiddies in the mid lane, or Kid and Kiddies rather. That also opens up many interesting roam opportunities for Bard. He can roam halfway to the bot and top lane and then just magical journey behind whoever's defending that wave with Tempered Fate.
Very true.
Specifically, you also want the Echo to have better flank opportunities and a better use of his teleport when it does come up, because that is the way IG stops Cloud9's turret changing.
Rookie getting or having to run. Sneaky getting aggressive there. Looks like he'll make it out.
Yeah, and with Rookie being in the mid lane right there, he ends up getting caught. Right now with Kid in the bottom lane, that could very easily be an Echo and a Sivir sitting safely in a turret. So they've lost a little bit of pressure here, and now it's much harder for IG to engage a fight, which is what they need to do to stop the Trist and Azir at the turret. If they get 5 seconds on this turret, maybe even less, they can take it completely down.
Yeah, Tristana does a ton of damage. The minions pushing in, but it looks like they'll get cleared pretty easily by IG for now anyway.
IG is also way more comfortable in split matchups. 1v1, Gnar wants to just 1v1. Yes, he can flank, but he will beat his lane opponent. Echo can pretty much take on anybody on that Cloud9 lineup, so grouping is not what IG is necessarily looking for. Flanks, just like he pointed out earlier, that's what they want. Push up the side lanes, then converge on the mid lane. Make Cloud9 confused and just try and snipe Sneaky.
Ball's just hit level 8 now. He is so far behind both Rookie and Zitai. It's rough, man.
The lane discrepancy is gargantuan.
Yep.
It was 3 levels before he hit level 8. It's just under double CS. Black Cleaver has been completed and then some, whereas Balls is still working on his. Doesn't even have his Kindle gem yet.
Zitai could actually hit the Flame Horizon over Balls. That's being 100 CS ahead, something Flame did regularly when he was back on CJ in Korea.
Maybe we'll see Flame yet at Worlds. He's the sub for LGD.
I think it's time to bring him in, guys. LGD is struggling. Bring Flame in.
Balls is 1,600 gold behind right now, if I did that math correctly. Yeah, over 1,600 gold behind right now.
So that actually means it's incredibly critical that Cloud9 can play around Zitai's teleport timing. As long as Zitai has his teleport timing up, IG can win any fight. But if he ever burns that, the other 4 members of Cloud9 actually have a gold advantage over IG. and that's where they're going to want to force their plays. But right now, they can't force those plays because Zatai is freely pushing, no pressure to stop teleport, and always having that high teleport threat.
Yeah. Well, Sneaky doing what he can to put a little bit of pressure on that bot lane, just getting a little bit more farm. Back to the 1v1 in mid between Rookie and Incarnation.
You see C9 doing that though, they're avoiding Zatai at all costs, so they're moving multiple members down in the bot lane, get some vision at least, try and make it so that IG has to rotate between the towers and maybe they can find an opening. They're also aggressively taking away a couple of jungle camps, trying to close out that gold advantage, but see Zatai in top lane, just farming up for free.
Wow. Sneaky managing to get a decent amount of damage under that turret for the short time he was there for.
This is something we didn't see TSM do, that deep vision in the enemy jungle to propel your lead forward. Please take some map control. C9 do show some mastery of that vision control.
It's good. They're being much more aggressive with the little map advantages that they have.
They're playing very distinctly around the advantages in the mid and bot lane. Those CS advantages are also growing. That's why this gold in the game is still very close. Nashor's Tooth on his ear is a big power spike. Trist with Infinity Edge is incredibly powerful as well. So frequently, Sneaky will go Avarice Blade and play a farm game, but he knows it is incredibly important that they can push this edge right now. He did not go Avarice Blade this match.
Cloud9, they can win fights even without boss, so they have two really good teamfight damage dealers, and they have a Braum to potentially deny some skill shots, deny some projectiles, soak up some damage, so by no means are they out of it, especially when it comes to teamfights. But isolated matchup, that's where IG wants to look at.
So at this point, if you're balls, do you just go a little bit more tankier, just try to be the guy that soaks some cooldowns and frees some space up for Incarnation and Sneaky to do their thing?
Probably.
Yep.
You don't want to plan for these situations on Darius. Like, the fact that his bleed now does physical damage,
It's not ideal, yeah.
makes Black Cleaver like such a core item, it's not even funny on him. But at this point, you almost just have to eat your losses and just never catch your Black Cleaver because he really needs to be able to live in this game.
He's probably going to help with Black Cleaver a little bit.
Yeah.
IG pushing down, dragging up in about a minute 20. And the control around that dragon area starting to be contested a bit.
Tempered Fate will be big in this teamfight, so that can make or break these long range, suddenly whacking away at you. If Azir puts up a couple of soldiers, he can poke you out, but if you Tempered Fate him...
Kid has to use that ult to get away from the damage of Incarnation, and that is not what IG wants right now.
Yeah, this opens up a window for Cloud9 to maybe take this mid lane turret, unless they wanted the Burns and Ties teleport down right now. He just hit Meganar.
I think they can. They're gonna, nearly get the turret. Maybe
the
turret. It got it. Yep.
Well, Kid almost died because he walked next to the giant bomb on the turret.
You know, Kid and Kitties have been a problem for IG for a long time, and it's not changing in this game. There's still the liability in this team.
The fact that Kid has to back here just creates even more pressure. Cloud9 is pushing this. Maybe they can get the teleport out as a tie.
That could be. I mean, Kid is not anywhere around without that ADC. Looks like the teleport's gonna come in for Zatai.
This is good for C9.
So good for C9. Now they can actually play around even more strongly their strong 4 in this game, as long as balls can just live against the Gnar.
Yeah, all you need to do is not give the Gnar a bunch of kills. C9, do you think they can rotate pretty comfortably over to Dragon now, or do you think you go for that top turret?
It'll be a very interesting choice. They have one Dragon. Cloud9 typically doesn't win off of Dragon snowballs, so maybe they get the turrets. I think the gold is more advantageous at this point in the game.
Yeah, their access to bottom lane jungle or bot jungle is denied too, so moving up top and getting a couple of deep wards, just protecting balls, even if it's just a little bit, making sure so you can get a tower and even a blue buff to boot. That's already enough for C9. They've acquired what they need to off that play. Anything else right now is just a bonus.
Makes sense. That is your turret too. Really doing a good job of keeping IG bottled up to spit. Balls finally takes that top turret, getting a bit of farm back. He's not behind Zatai by the entire amount like he was earlier, only down 2 levels. Well, still down 2 levels.
Yeah.
Sneaky. Ooh.
Where Zatai goes, Cloud9 goes somewhere else at this point in the game. It's the largest advantage. Just like where Incarnation and Sneaky go, they want to push their strength. They're actually going to get 2 turrets totally out of this Dragon, I think, if they can get a quick push going down here.
Well, they can
Rookie
get a lot of
could
damage on it either way.
We'll see what they do. Look at the wards too that Cloud9 have backed themselves up for. They have really They knew that IG was going to go for this dragon, and they didn't really go and look for so many sightseeing and stop it. Cloud9 will get this tower here, but IG's in the mid lane.
IG is making a strong power play right here with 5 in the mid lane, trading the turrets as well as the dragon. It makes the overall dragon more worth it. But if we see all the turrets that Cloud9 was just able to take down, as well as the additional farm, the gap between Balls and Zatai actually closed pretty substantially during that. It's an overall win for Cloud9.
Yeah, and overall, they do something really smart. They make sure that at least have one part of the IG's jungle deep water. If you have one element deep water, it's so much easier to get the wards in the other side because you actually have either vision or process of elimination to know roughly where your opponents are. Compare that to the TSM game last game. That vision was completely gone. Dark. Yeah. It was so hard for them to get that vision. That's why amazing whenever he was defending, he could stop people from coming in. So C9's vision control is a lot better this game.
And so much of this, I think, comes down to Hai's ability to shot call in the mid and late game.
Very true.
It's something that was completely lacking from Cloud9 in the early season. It's something that has always been amazing for Hai at Worlds. Yes, he doesn't do things junglers do in the early game, and Cloud9 pays the price for it. But when they can get into these situations, 21 minutes in, 1,000 gold lead on IG, and IG has 2 Korean speakers and 3 Chinese speakers, Hai shot calling should be superior, and it gives a big edge to Cloud9.
Well, IG taking off a bit of that edge as they take the bot lane tier 1 turret. That's all 3 outer turrets down now in favor of them.
Gotta say though, disappointed in Kitties. Would like to see some plays with Temper Fate. I really think
you really haven't been talking about Bard at all.
No, because there's nothing happening. But you can find so many openings, but you gotta be creative. Moving around the map. From a 1 screen to a 1.5 screen distance, Tempered Fate is almost undodgeable if you cast it properly. You can always go and flash.
Cow.
Cow right now, forcing C9 out of the jungle. Here we go.
Oh, Temper Fate locks up Elimination High. They're going to keep coming in. There's a teleport for Cloud9. Balls entering the fray here as well. Cow has to flash away. Oh, big explosive cast. Elimination push back into the ult. Slows down IG a little bit anyway. The fight avoided, but a lot of ultimates burned on both sides.
Good Braum shield there by Elimination, denying the Cosmic Binding there from Bard.
Really key interaction right there. I also thought that maybe Balls would have canceled that teleport. He flashed immediately after landing. I think he was worried about also getting Cosmic Binding. But amongst all that, Cloud9 actually gets another turret. Sometimes they are so good of turning what starts as a bad play into an advantage. A very particular play happened in AHQ where Balls died in the bottom lane and Cloud9 turned it into a massive team fight in the mid lane. This was a microcosm of that type of play.
Yeah, that's called a creative shot calling, and that's something Hai is really good at. Compared to Lost Worlds, when he went on his little solid snake run on the side lanes with that Zed, just trying to hide. That's something you see Hai do, and very many other shot callers just can't get to that level. So, actually very impressed that Cloud9 managed to come back, because at this meta game, being behind in your top lane or half or double the CS is...
We have not seen any other teams be able to play around it. But 2 games now, Cloud9, maybe we have seen another team. You can add it in here. I don't think of it off the top of my head.
No, I was just thinking
game 1 against AHQ. Balls went into lane at a level down and 20 CS down, and Cloud9 was able to avoid being punished.
I was just thinking Balls trained for this in Korea.
I can see why you did the same.
There you go. He's gone to the Korea time chamber. He's come out 10 times stronger.
Yeah.
Still slightly abandoned in the early game by his team, but hey.
A diamond in the rough.
He only died twice. It's pretty good.
Hey, I will say, as we have a small lull in the game, of all the NA and EU players that went over to Korea to scrim and play solo queue, Balls put in the most work of any player. He struggled mightily to climb in solo queue. He actually never reached Master, but he played over 300 games in the under 1 month boot camp on top of scrims.
Wow.
Over 10 games a day on top of, he was playing out of his mind, so much effort, and he has improved. Even if he's not at the level of the other top laners, the work has paid off.
I mean, this game overall, he didn't really make any mistakes. Any other top laner would have ended up under a tower about to get dove, so it's just unfortunate that C9 managed to keep him hanging there. Hai now getting caught.
Teleport coming in, and Hai in a lot of trouble. Repels over the blue buff. Can he get away? Doesn't look like it. Turns in for a bit of damage, but he goes down. And IG, a bit of a power play now as they've got the 5v4. What are they going to do with it?
Huge pick. I actually wasn't entirely sure how that one started, but maybe he was going for vision control. Now they're trying to make a play.
Doesn't catch anybody. Tempered Fate.
It is so hard.
Useful that time.
It's so hard to cast that from that distance. You really want to be 1.5 screens at max, because otherwise you can actually sidestep it if the player is experienced against Bard. Some players might panic flash, but your max is 1.5 screen distance, because otherwise you can just dodge it.
Yeah, and the play is dead at this point.
Yep.
In clearing the ward, Incarnation got half health bars off Kakao, and
Well,
Kitties.
Incarnation has that Rylai's now. He's doing a lot of damage. He's getting that little slow as well. They've got to really watch out when they're going through chokes. It's not exactly the tankiest team ever. I mean, Gnar obviously is going to be a bit of a force to be reckoned with, but still, he hasn't gone for the tankiest build.
And the game might actually get very explosive in the next 5 minutes because both these supports seem to be building towards the Zeeks.
I think you might be right.
He should be able to complete that probably on his next back. He has both components. Same for Kitties. I would say Tristana is the scarier AD carry with the Zeke's Harbinger completed because of the quick burst of damage you can do, but Sivir's also no slouch.
Oh, Kid taking a lot of damage, has to bring that Sivir up to get away, takes a big crit.
No
Is
spell
the
shield.
bomb enough? Ooh, not quite. Not quite, but again, Kid becoming the liability, getting caught, taken out of the equation, and C9, they can clean up the vision around that Baron pit. May be able to bait it a bit. Whoa, damage over the wall from Balls. Looks like Rookie's gonna have to use his ult though to get away.
This could very well be a Baron fight. Yeah, they have vision control. They know Kid is low without summoner spells, and the ultimate is down on Rookie. Plus, they don't actually see them in here. I still expect IG to come in and fight them.
Kitties can check with ulti. Bard ulti reveals the Baron, but Kakao is facing.
Z-Tai comes in, Tempered Fate catches a few people. IG has to back away.
Goes back on a Baron.
High tries to go back on the Baron, doing a little bit of damage. Rookie takes out Elimination. Ball's getting very low. Baron goes over to Red Team. C9 managed to get it, but will they leave the fight alive? Z-Tai all over an Incarnation. Incarnation gets 2 kills before getting taken out finally by Kakao, and Sneaky takes down Rookie. It ends up being 3 for 4, but Sneaky still has that Baron.
I would call that a creative fight. Like, what was that? That was such a strange decision, but ultimately Cloud9 does win the trade. They have one person with Baron, which is enough to empower the minions for any siege they do, and they traded 4 kills for 3 kills.
So, are you a little bit surprised Sneaky isn't going for this dragon right now?
I think the better is for him to base and get the tempo, get the items to spawn together with his teammates. Let's watch that again. Tempered Fate actually... Z-Tai actually didn't really help. Yeah, it cancels
the Gnarl.
Yeah, it's cancelled Gnarl, so not a good Tempered Fate there. Minus points there, and then Balls drops immediately. But look at Incarnation, what he does in this team fight.
Incarnation did so much work. As IG was funneling in, he basically did all of the damage for Cloud9 this fight, and Sneaky did a little bit of cleanup on the backside. If it was not for his Azir right there, Cloud9 would have been aced.
Yeah, this could have been a really good fight for IG, but
boy,
Incarnation really
Balls
level that playing
need to teleport down, but they might have to forfeit this dragon. It's only dragon number 2, so it's very forfeitable.
It's shocking that overall it's only the 3rd dragon even in the game, but C9 looks like they really want to continue on to Kitties. Kitties can't. Oh, he got to the magical journey in the end. Is he going to live through the bomb, though? Tempered Fate will save his life. Ult used, though. Oh, but Balls comes in for the dunk in the end. And now Sneaky, the backline, gets on the Kid. There's a kill there. Sneaky could start getting the kills. Kakao with one, though. Balls does go down there in the middle of all of it. IG trying to turn it around, but it looks like C9 has enough. Triple kill for Sneaky.
Ace for Cloud9!
And
Helps them ace, gets the ace.
They still have the Baron buff on Sneaky, so they can push with Baron and powered minions. If only they had a wave. What a ridiculous fight.
I can't believe they pulled that one off, but it was all about Balls getting into the back line. It was all about Sneaky being safe coming from the side. Great fight by C9.
Balls is doing so much work, just soaking up damage and attention. Sneaky went untouched that fight. We talked about this before. 2 carries is enough to win these fights. Incarnation's Azir and Sneaky's Tristana are straight up carrying these fights.
Balls is what I like to call an offensive punching bag, right? Because you hit it a bunch of times, once in a while it swings back, takes you out.
Watch that again here.
Goodness, he got the Noxian Might in this from executing with his ultimate because Kitties gets solo, and even though the Temper Fate had only delayed the inevitable, so let's actually watch the other side of the fight right here and see how Incarnation and Sneaky do work here.
Whoa.
Gets the static shiv crit as well as the dunk here. And Incarnation actually doesn't have the perfect ult, but it still zones Kakao and Rookie off to the side a little bit. And Rookie gets bounced back as he tries to dash in for some finishing blows, ultimately able to get finished by Sneaky, who remained untouched for the entire fight.
Yeah, Sneaky, really good aggressive jump there, but still safely. He knows he can always out-trade Kid there in the 1v1, and then he switches with the help from Balls after executing the Sivir to the rest of the targets, and nobody could challenge him at all.
And they get the dragon on top of all of that. C9 in control of this game.
Elimination actually not looking to finish that Zeke, so he's just trying to get more tanky. He looks day one and Aegis before he gets that Zeke's.
Interesting choice. He's also really, may not even get it in this game if Cloud9 keeps up their aggression.
Yeah.
They have an open inhibitor here that they might be trying to go for.
It would put Sneaky on 95% crit chance in these fights, so...
That's why we were expecting it, because it's such a burst of damage.
Especially combine that with Tristana's Q's. My favorite AD carry to play Zeke with, but Elimination just values the peeling more, and I mean, in a sense, it makes sense if you can just stay alive and prevent people from even hitting Sneaky.
Yeah. And specifically with the amount of damage Incarnation is doing, Rookie's going to want to assassinate him with the flank on Echo, and they want a little bit of insurance for that. We're talking a lot about Cloud9. We do need to talk about IG, because it's all about the flanks that they need to be able to get. The Baron call, as well as the Dragon call from Cloud9, were super risky. So the opportunities are still open for IG if they can keep up with the pace of this game.
A lot of teams at this point in the game, they get baited into straight up team fight after team fight, though. With this composition, IG can't forget that they have to flank or set up favorable team fights with Tempered Fate. Tempered Fate hasn't really been used effectively at all, so we really need to see Zitai either split push or start collapsing from the flank.
Yeah, IG looks lost, man. I mean, they haven't been playing around that Bard ult very well, and the Bard ults themselves haven't been that great. And C9, man, these guys are looking so good now. That improbable run through the gauntlet, now they're looking to go 2-0 up in their group at Worlds.
Every game they play seems to make them stronger.
It does.
The longer High plays in the jungle, the more the more confident Incarnation becomes as well, because he has just been improving game over game over game.
This is a completely different player that joined Cloud9 initially over in NALCS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, High's almost a completely different jungler already. The shot calling is suddenly, you know, or finally, I would say, getting kind of equalized by his ability to just simply be a good jungler, too.
And for IG, they really need to buckle down and win right here. They're the favorites for some in this group, along with Fnatic. And if they start 0-2, it's disastrous. They still have Rookie and Cacao, who have been waiting to get to Worlds for so long. If they start Worlds by losing to an EU and then an NA team,
It'd be pretty shocking.
going to be very, very shocking.
Elimination. Getting some damage onto Cacao. Gonna wait to proc that stun. Gonna turn around now for
deep.
Cacao, taking a lot of
Nice
damage.
pick.
There's the Braum ult coming through. Elimination backing off. Rookies uses that Zonia's early.
gonna be big.
Tempered
That's a great
Fate.
Bard ult.
Cap to pull up. Yeah, IG doing quite a bit, but now they're bundled up. The damage from, whoa, the damage from Azir and from Sneaky is so big. Double kill for Azir already. High helps them finish it off. Rookie on the run, and this, you'd almost kind of assume it's gonna be an
Incarnation
ace.
with a play, 20%
Dude.
about to drop, and he just goes in like a man, gets a good ulti and wins that fight for C9.
Really reminding me a bit of Coco's Azir play on CJ Entis, man. Just playing that hyper-aggressive Azir, getting the damage done.
The team fighting from Incarnation and Siki has been so good this game. That was a fight that IG had the initiation on. Not only did they catch Elimination early and burn his ultimate, they then Tempered Fate multiple Cloud9 members for the setup, but Cloud9 turned it around.
And they changed on Incarnation too against the wall. A little more damage, a little more focus from IG. He would have instantly dropped without casting a single ability that fight, but because he lived mostly due to the barrier too, 20%. Watch that again. Look for how Elimination
out.
overextends just a little bit. He tags Rookie,
Yep.
so that helps him in the fight.
You could tell Cloud9 was aggressively looking for a fight. That's why he was up like that. But then, Zonia's into 3.
And look for the Q from Bard here. Stuns Incarnation,
Where is it?
but
Yeah,
he survives long enough to make that play.
yeah, and then he just flies right into a house, but it doesn't matter.
Kid should have flashed over and finished off Incarnation. He was too passive in that fight. He could have changed the entire scope of the fight, and by proxy, this game.
I can hardly blame him. Sneaky's been two-shotting him for the majority of the game. You don't want to flash near that if you're going to be executed right afterwards.
Sneaky's damage is just out of control right now, both him and Incarnation. And I mean, C9, the other thing about this too is they keep managing to find IG in these choke points, just like the one they're walking through right now. Tempered Fate hits a minion. That's about it. IG
Crepo.
needs to back off.
Crepo continues to shake his head at the
I
Bard
know.
play.
Sad bar. I'm shaking my
Another
head.
two-man Baron. This is a picture replay of the last
Oh,
one,
oh.
but this time
Here we
Cloud9
go.
is ready to turn.
Braum ult used. Cacao trying to get in the back lines high. Very low. Pops at Zonia's early. Can Incarnation turn this one around again? Big split. C9 push back. C9 balls takes down the Braum. There's a big
Massive combo.
whoa, big gnarl. C9 could be in trouble. Viper survive. Turns it around though. The damage from Incarnation coming in. There's a double kill again. Already Z-Type desperately trying to keep the fight under control, and he gets a Rookie with the triple kill, trying to make it away against Balls. He's gonna run for it, and that's a fight that went even up 4-for-4, but it looks like Balls might be able to catch Rookie in the end. Maybe.
Yeah, I think Rookie's a little too
probably
quick.
not.
If he gets a little bit more mana, he can get out of here. Specifically, that is the dangerous shot calling of Cloud9. And this time, he's pretty fast with that Dead Man's Play. But he has no summoner spells.
All right.
Yeah.
Barely doesn't get
Whoa!
it.
He needed to teleport back too because
No kidding.
2 inhibitors were down during that, so really Cloud9 would have just had to stall. They end up getting one anyways.
But so close.
That fight was crazy.
That massive Gnar into parallel convergence and then Rookie going back to it to proc it. Almost met Cloud9's demise, but they managed to hang on yet again. Incarnation, very low HP, gets a couple damage spells off, makes the fight even yet again.
Yeah, a couple things I noticed about this fight as well. Balls was able to get in the backline very easily because IG is so focused on flanking, nothing is actually killing him, so his slightly behind state doesn't matter. But also, Kid this fight flashed forward to kill Sneaky.
Yeah, Sneaky was zoned off 3v1. Even with a massive buster shot, it wasn't enough to survive that fight. But right now, we see another Baron setup here from Cloud9.
Yeah, the tempo is continually being pushed. This time, Cloud9 with the Azir can kill it so quickly. They got a Bard ult to pit right now.
They're doing it fast. Here we go. Baron taken out. Cloud9 already has a Braum ult, catches Cacao, and they're in that choke yet again. Here comes the damage. Tempered Fate locks them down, but it's only delaying the inevitable as C9 comes through. Victorious already in this team fight with a kill on Cacao. Kid trying to run away. They have to burn that Sivir ult to disengage, and C9, now they're coming in with Baron.
Only one Nexus turret remaining. Baron empowered minions will be in 2 different waves. This could be the end of this game.
Certainly could be. IG needs to have a miracle fight to turn this one around. Z-Tai is going to need to come up big, but he's so far away from Meganar. That turret dying almost immediately. Rookie desperately goes in, and Z-Tai backs away as well. A double kill already for Incarnation. The damage is 2-0. Much C9 completes the ace, and they complete the 2-0 already.